Okay, in this video, I'll be talking about the vegetarian diet, part one. I'll be going over specifics like is vegetarian diets heart healthy, are protein intake adequate for vegetarians, supplementation, and finally, I'll talk about soy protein in a little bit detail. So let's start with the first point: are vegetarian diets heart healthy? So, in Indian households, it's a common misconception that if you are eating vegetarian diets, then you will never go into heart issues because we are not eating saturated fat, because saturated fat, the more you eat saturated fat, you'll get higher cholesterol levels, specifically LDL cholesterol levels, and that will lead to heart issues. But if you're eating a lot of butter, ghee, coconut oil, these three components especially contain a lot amount of saturated fat, and that can raise your cholesterol levels and you can have heart issues. So this word that people keep using, right, healthy, what do you mean by healthy? Healthy is someone who is, having his adequate BMI and has lean muscle mass and works out and is mentally, fine, does not face any other issues, blood work is fine. This word healthy is considered by all the vegetarians because they feel that, we're not eating any animal meat, we don't have less saturated fat. But unless your diet is in a calorie surplus, if your diet is in a calorie surplus, you will go into weight gain. Okay, if that is the goal, calorie surplus to gain some weight, then it's fine. But most of the people, are in a increased calorie surplus, and that leads to weight gain. The more amount of weight gain you have, the more belly fat and central obesity you will have. And when you have obesity, you are indirectly exposed to 9 different types of cancers, right? 9 different types of cancers, and that isn't the best for the word healthy, right? You're not being healthy when you're having a calorie surplus, which leads to weight gain, which leads to central obesity, which leads to 9 different cancers. It's a misconception, and people buy into this fact, and then when they enter their 40s, 50s, especially when the activity levels are low and the calorie is on a surplus, then they face all kinds of issues, mainly because of central obesity. Vegetarian diets also lack two important components, that is omega 3s and B12. B12 is found in milk products, okay, and specifically uh, animal products, right? Animal meat and everything. And omega 3s are found in a lot of, let's say, flax seeds, right? They contain a lot of omega 3s in the vegetarian aspect. But, omega 3s are like, DHA and EPA, okay? And what flax seeds contain, they contain something called as ALA, okay? Now, the studies have shown that ALA will get converted to DHA and EPA, but how good is this conversion? This conversion depends on a lot of factors. It depends on genetics, right? Mainly, and variety of metabolic factors. Like if you're having diabetes or you're having any other metabolic disorders, then it depends on this conversion. So that's why vegetarians, when my clients come and they say that they're vegetarian, I often ask them that are you comfortable with having something called algae oil, right? Because that directly contains a lot amount of DHA and EPA, right? The moment you have this, you are good to go with your omega 3s, and omega 3s are actually what we say are heart healthy supplements, right? Yeah. And B12, right? B12 is required for a lot of mechanisms in your body, especially related to cognition neurologically. And if vegetarians lack this, but if you are consuming a lot amount of milk products, right, that could be your curd, right, cheese, right, yogurts, so you will be fine with your with your B12 intake. So that is about heart healthy and the whole concept, and these are the two major elements that lack in vegetarians, and we need supplementation for this, okay? And other than that, I explained you the concept, about how the misconception is built around that we are not eating animal meat, so we are healthy. But this whole concept of calorie surplus, weight gain, and cancer, and especially with saturated fat intake, most of the households are having tons of ghee, and it's a big misconception that eating ghee is heart healthy, but it is not, right? So this was the first point I wanted to clear about vegetarian diets. Second, let's go to the second big misconception. Second misconception is regarding protein intake. So let me clear this fact that all vegetarian proteins, like for example lentils, yeah, let's stick to that, they contain all the nine essential amino acids. Why is this point important? Because the moment I say this, people are going to refute this claim and say no, vegetarian protein does not contain all the nine essential amino acids, right? And the reason is because in animal context, if you take chicken as protein, it contains all the nine essential amino acids. Even vegetarian like lentils contains, but lentils will not contain all the essential amino acids in the equal amount. So there will be some amount of protein which will, like some amount of amino acids which will be lesser in lentils, and it could be like 0.1 gram, right? But they do contain all the nine. Only that some amino acids are in lesser amount as compared to something like animal meat. Now, when somebody eats food, right, we just don't eat dal, right? We just don't eat dal. Nobody eats dal alone. We eat dal with rice, right? And when you combine this with a lot of variety of vegetarian protein sources like soya, like tofu, it's the same thing, right? Yogurts. The moment you add these substances or these products, and you always consume this in, right, you don't never only consume dal, you consume dal with rice, with soya, with tofu plus yogurts, you have a lot of variety. The moment you add variety to a vegetarian protein diet, you are covered for all the nine essential amino acids, because maybe this dal contains a little less of a specific amino acid that will be compensated by rice, that will be compensated by soya, that will be compensated by yogurts. So, and but the moment you have the nine essential amino acids, you are good for muscle building. So this is important for muscle building. Okay, I'll be adding some infographics on the screen and then you can have a look. But the basic concept is that the variety of plants protein sources you have, you will cover all the nine essential amino acids. There is no requirement to go for any kind of animal product consumption, especially if you are respecting your religious beliefs and sticking to plant protein, right? So this was the concept about, like, plant protein is less, plant protein. And let me tell you something, like if you consume 1.2 to 1.8 gram of protein, right, this could, I'm talking about plant sources, right? Even if for animals the same context, you are good for muscle building. It's great. Okay, there are no studies like showing that this is lesser than animal protein. If you consume this amount of protein every day from all these sources that I've said, and there could be more sources like pea protein and stuff, so that comes in rice as well, that comes under, right? If you consume this amount of protein in a day, you are good for muscle building. That is the end of the discussion. There is nothing like, that if I am consuming plant protein, then I'll have lesser physique or lesser muscle mass as compared to somebody who's consuming animal protein, right? So this concept, I hope it makes it clear, right? Supplementation is something we already spoke about. I just want to make it very clear that supplementation for in the context of somebody who's consuming plant protein or plant based diets, they just need two things, as I said, omega 3s and B12. And we spoke about the algae oil that vegetarians can consume, and that will cover you for the DHA and EPA, right? Okay. And the fourth point is about soy protein, right? Now, soy protein. So soy protein, there's a lot of discussion, whether it's safe for men, like their testosterone levels might fall down, or they may have gynecomastia, that is enlargement of the breasts seen in men. So there are only two studies, okay, till today that were shown, and the study of the name of one is unusual gynecomastia, okay, is the name of one study, which was like in some teenager who was consuming tons of soya. He developed enlarged breasts. Okay. Besides that, there are always remember that there is a pyramid. that goes up way like this. I will send a image on the screen, and you can see that the randomized control trials which are performed are one of the best study groups, that are taken for proving any study whether soy protein really increases lowers less testosterone levels in males, or it causes gynecomastia, that is the enlarged breast. So there are a lot of studies. Okay, I'll pin the study links in the description box. You can have a look. But this whole narrative that is built upon, because soy protein is one of the best sources if you are consuming vegetarian diet. And like you will see the 100 grams of soya chunks gives you 51 grams protein, right? But then this is not complete 51-gram protein. There are also other factors like bioavailability that will affect this. Okay. And soy protein, the whole concept about how it causes gynecomastia is it contains something called as phytoestrogens, right? And when these bind to the estrogen receptors, this can lead to enlargement of the breast. But this whole link that people randomly make on the internet, many studies have shown already that there is no clear evidence that phytoestrogens can lead to enlargement of the breast. Only if you're consuming a lot of amount of soy protein, like you might be consuming 3 liters of soy milk, which this boy was doing in this unusual study, right? Unusual gynecomastia, soy milk. Only that, or you're consuming like 500 grams of soya chunks. If you're consuming huge amounts of soy protein, then that is a problem for you. But if you are consuming, let's say, 100 grams of soy protein of soya every day, okay, you're completely fine. There is no issues regarding that. There have been many studies. They have taken 18 meta-analysis and shown you that if you are consuming specific like 100 grams of soya, then you will have no issues as such with like low testosterone levels or enlargement of the breasts. These are only happening if you're consuming too much, which is not required for us. I hope I'm trying to clear this point out. I will go into the details of these studies, and it will be a separate video in itself. And these are the 4 points which I wanted to discuss in vegetarian diet part 1. In part 2, we'll talk about more stuff. Especially, I want to talk about the studies that have been done in this group, and want to tell you that what are the problems with those studies. In most of these studies which are done, right, there was some when you're conducting a study, you always need a control group. Like you have one group and one control group. In so many of these studies, the control group itself was missing, right? And again, the individuals that were taken were only 58, 38, a very small group, and they are trying to extrapolate the results of those studies and prove us that soy protein causes gynecomastia or it causes low testosterone, which is completely false. And there are variety of studies done. Meta-analysis is published in good journals, in the European Clinical Nutrition Journal, the American journals, that have already proven this fact that there is no clear evidence that this chain actually works, right? So I hope like through this video I've tried to touch about some points which I want to go in detail in the next video. Let me know how this video was, and thanks for watching. If there are like some and so these things keep happening, because I'm just starting these long form videos and I'm trying to shoot them in one go. After that, I guess it'll get a better streamlined, and the videos will look much better. But for now, this is it, and thanks for watching.